Anybody want to actually sit here and listen to The Raven for 17 hours?
I was just going to say, well, if I put that out, that's 3 podcasts with The Raven, isn't it? 17 hours. That just runs out, that.
Okay. Quiet in the studio. Right, here we go. Well, hello there. This is Jonathan Starkey, a.k.a. Ab Fab, or is it the other way round? Your fabulous digital pub landlord of that wonderful digital pub called Cheshire Matters. And I have to announce, we are bereft and minus Statsman tonight, Mr. Mark Hartley. Everybody say, ah. Okay, that was... Okay, so nobody's really bothered then, no?
Well, just want to say, has he provided a sick note?
No, I had nothing of that nature. He has just said that he's not well. And
absent without leave.
Yeah, absent without leave, that's it.
Oh, sick, no pay. Simple as that.
Well, here am I, here with a broken shoulder.
Yeah.
Moving faders.
Soldiering on.
Soldiering on.
SAS training.
Yeah,
that's right.
All of that stuff.
He's the only SAS soldier I've ever seen with a bag full of hairspray.
Well, you got to look good while you're actually doing these action moves. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I know that we have the Raven in tonight. Say hello, Steve Ingram. Hello.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a good week in this challenging country. I'm just going to say, I'm going to start off with a big positive, actually, which is I'm going to give a big mention to Trevor here tonight because...
Oh, the Gazelle. Yes, he's in the house.
Yes, I am, because I think it's fabulous as a small business. He stood up, fought his cause against one of these big corporate chains, and got money he was owed, which is a big problem for small businesses. So big on you, Trevor. Big on.
Yeah, well done,
Steve. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
And welcome to the podcast, The Gazelle.
Good evening, everybody. And I, again, like Steve, hope you've had a lovely week and you're going to have a lovely weekend coming up.
Indeed, indeed. Right, well, let's move straight on to the roundup. Yeah. Okay, and there's a lot of things going on. Well, Parliament's back. They're back from recess, and then we're going to be going into the Showtime pantomime season.
Will we ever notice the fact that they're back compared to when they were off? Will it make any difference?
No. I don't think so. But they all have the party conferences coming on. And now we have the Uniparty show. Yes, indeed. I should have had the music on to go and do that rather than do it in the background. It's going to be like the Muppet Show times 3. The Conservative Muppet Show, you're going to have the Labour Muppet Show, then you're going to have the Liberal Muppet Show, and then everybody else. What's Reform up to, Trevor?
Well, they're having a lovely conference this year right in the middle of London at the Hilton Hotel. I should imagine that'll be packed.
What's the point? What is the point of doing that?
The Hilton Hotel in London.
I know. I can't work that out.
That's going to cost a lot of money to one, to get there, and 2, to feed and water yourself during the day, I should imagine.
Well, what are the tickets costed? I bet you they'd be over £100 just for the meal.
No, actually. No, well, yeah, now you've said that. The tickets are actually £15.
All right.
Which is not bad. But the gala dinner, which I just received the other day, is £125 a person.
You could buy access to a swimming pool on your own for 2 hours for that.
Well, there's a lot of shopping down at Farm Foods. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh,
there are, of course,
other lowering the tone again, are we, Raven? That's the Viking in you.
There are, of course, other reputable places where you can buy free frozen foods as well.
Yeah, right. Okay. What, like Aldi? Like Asda? Like Sainsbury's?
Yes.
Or if you're extremely posh, you would go to Waitrose.
Oh,
Waitrose.
Yes. Gazelle goes to Waitrose.
I had a Waitrose coffee today. Very good.
I told you. I knew that. That's the kind of establishment that you find nice people in. Steve. Anyway, right, let's get on with the roundup. Okay, UK homeowners face jail or a £15,000 fine in energy bill crackdown. Have you seen that?
I've seen it.
Well,
so if you actually go out and shoplift, so long as you don't take over £200 worth of goods,
you get away with it.
You get away with it. But apparently, if you've not got the correct smart meter, you can get £15,000 fine and jail.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me, none of this will actually apply to our house because my wife refuses to ever put the heating or the electric on because it costs money. So we live in darkness, hence, and we also freeze to death.
I think they live in darkness in your household because she doesn't want to see your face. That's my opinion. What do you think of that, Trev?
That's a cracker, that one, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'll just put a footnote to this as well, because I've just been looking up on this. The bill's actually in its third reading, so it's going through the Lord, so it will be law within a week. And they can use reasonable force, whatever that is, to enter your property to check that you've not got the old gas boiler and you've got up-to-date smart meters. Now, I'll tell you what, they're going to have a job coming into mine because my boiler, as I'm looking at it at the minute, is actually, I bought the house 40 years ago and the boiler was in.
Wow.
And it's still the same boiler. So...
what are they going to do about that?
Sorry, Trev.
I'm going to jail. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Are they going to attempt to force people to have smart meters?
Yes. And also, what they're called, heat pumps, is it?
Oh, they're useless. They don't work.
Well, they are. The whole agenda is to move it over to heat pumps and smart meters.
Ain't going to work.
Well, they're changing the law, so let's see what happens on that one, eh?
Okay, well, did anybody read the comments in the Daily Mail about a chilling glimpse of life under Labour? Now, say like if they bring those in and that becomes law, do you think Labour are going to change it?
No.
Labour are not going to repeal hardly anything of what the Conservatives have already implemented and what they're proposing. They're mirror Conservatives, as I refer to them. And to be quite honest with you, find certain things that the Labour Party are, acknowledging that they will not repeal, such as the right to protest.
Yeah.
The public order bill.
Yeah.
They will not confirm that they will repeal that. I saw an interview with.
Well, that usually means that they're not. That's the truth of the matter. It's the case.
So this idea, we've spoken about it many times. I think we did last week. If people are banging on and hoping that it's going to be changed if you vote red or blue, it's ludicrous now. It's staring people in the face. There is no difference. Wake up.
Well, think about it. Labour-run Birmingham City Council is going into bankruptcy with debts of 760 million, which, if you look at it, I mean, that is just a complete disregard for public money.
Chicken feed.
Well, yeah, compared to Warrington, which we will come on to on the National. But it's the people of Birmingham that are going to actually be bearing the brunt of that idiocy for voting those people in. So only core services are going to be available, like child protection, social care. All other spending is going to be curtailed. Yet the council's leadership seems to admit little or no blame. They're the ones that are in control. Just like the Conservatives, they don't admit any blame for what's going on in the country. Now, they are automatically blaming the government for their situation. Well, somewhere along the line, there's a certain amount of truth to both sides. But I actually do think that Labour-run councils, I mean, imagine, I can remember when Ellesmere Port and Neston was run by the Labour group. And if it wasn't for a couple of the councillors at the top end of the leadership, they'd have been in stuck. I mean, serious problems. Because these people didn't know the value of money. But that's because you had labourers given multi-million-pound budgets. And they didn't read any of the notes, so they just voted on the whip. So luckily in certain areas, it was okay. But these people, I don't know. I mean, to get it to that situation, it's
But
bad.
it's always the people on the streets, the ordinary taxpayers who pick up the bill in all of this with massive impacts on their personal budgets. It's incredible, this.
And remember now...
How can it go on?
It can't. Remember now, what did Vanessa Whiting say to us at Cheshire West and Chester? Say that the councillors are actually not really liable to communicate with anybody. So if you actually write with your concerns about the way that they're handling the budgets and they don't respond, especially in Cheshire West, then you're stuffed. You can't do anything about it. They're in for the next 5 years or whatever the term is. I can't remember. And that is it. You know, so...
Exactly. And if you complain, in voters out. And they don't vote them out.
No, they're stupid. They're absolutely stupid if they don't see what's happening to them. And if you think about it, it's a systemic thing, and it's symptomatic of a bigger problem within local governments all around the country. And they're not the only council to be going bankrupt, and we'll talk more about that afterwards. But the customer is not going to get the service that they're expecting. All right, let's move on. Okay, healthcare tycoon Hester swells Tory election war chest with a 5 million donation.
Oh, they'll blow that easily on a few tea parties for their mates. There's no, that's not going to go far.
Well, this guy doesn't give 5 million for nothing. The clue is in the term healthcare tycoon. So obviously, he's going to be looking to push his interests.
Who is this guy?
Hester, if you really wanted to know about it, it was a story that came from Sky. And he is Frank Hester, and he's the founder and CEO of healthcare software provider TPP. Right? And he's given the Conservatives one of its biggest single donations in decades. And he's termed a healthcare entrepreneur who ranks amongst Britain's richest people, whose company has had close ties to the government, and he's handed 5 million donation to the Conservative Party. So he obviously reckons that they're going to be in at the next election.
Well, I bet he's had close connections with them.
Okay.
PPE, etc., maybe?
Well, the company provides vital clinical IT services in more than 2,600 GP practices.
All right. Well, you've answered the question there, then.
There you go. So it's public money, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's been paid a big chunk.
Yeah, and he doesn't mind handing over 5 million.
No, that's nothing to him, that.
Yeah. Chicken feed.
Chicken feed.
Yep. Absolutely.
We might get him on board at Warrington Borough Council. He might do us some good, that bloke.
Well, okay. Here's a funny one for you. Right. Well, it's about Manchester United. There was a guy. Come on, it was an Irish guy. He said there were 2 season tickets nailed to one of the wooden telegraph posts. For the BT lines, and there were 2 Manchester United tickets, season tickets, nailed to it. And he said, I couldn't pass that opportunity by. He went up to the lamppost and he got the 2 nails. He said, because you never know when you might need a couple of nails.
I couldn't understand. I've seen that, and I couldn't understand his accent. I never had a clue what he was talking about.
It's Northern Irish. All right.
Northern Irish.
What about you? What about you?
And I took the 2 nails, and I thought, 3 nails. I thought he said 3 nails or something, and I thought, what's he on about? I played it about 10 times. I still couldn't understand it.
I went out shopping the other day, and I heard a Belfast accent, and it was in Chester, and it was. I turned around and I said to the woman, she was one of the managers at B&M there, and I just said, what about you? And she looked around and she smiled. I said, your twinkling eyes. I said, I can see that. I said, what about the crack then? And the woman on the till was like horrified, that I said that. And she went, the crack's good here. And it was only her that understood what I was saying. It's like you're talking about a conversation, what's the crack? Yeah. What's the crack? And I said, how many times? I said, do you get the Eamon Holmes things? What's the situation? What's the situation?
There used to be a fellow on Coronation Street. I can't remember his name now. He was the same. Catch it on. That's another one.
Jim McDonald.
Jim McDonald, that's it.
Jim McDonald. Yeah, there's a man there. Yeah, aye.
Catch it on.
Yeah. Well, Another thing to announce, vet prices review over fears pet owners are being overcharged.
Yeah,
How about that?
A story about the British people in some capacity being overcharged. That's not
By
hardly
vets.
novel, this isn't.
Yeah, I saw it. I thought when I read the whole story, I thought it was a bit woof.
I mean, they say it's, people get the impression it's a license to print money. But sometimes I said you have to look at what the costs the vets are going through. Because, yes, you can buy the medication cheaper going outside. And that's why the vets started charging for the prescriptions. Because you cannot get any medication for your pet without a formal prescription.
Yeah, medicals. Yeah.
Yeah, so the vets are now actually saying, basically they charge for the prescriptions. But I said to our vet, who's really brilliant, great vet, I said, is it cheaper for us to buy it from you or to get it on prescription? And they said, and they give you the choice. It's as simple as that. And they say, well, it'd probably be cheaper for you to get it on prescription. There you go. And if you can get a vet that will do that, then that's great. It's actually, the Competition and Markets Authority. Because the reason why they're jumping in is because a lot of the vets have been bought out. So what's happened is that big conglomerates own great chains of veterinary practices in different areas.
This goes on everywhere. It really does. And then they take control of the market, and then, away you go. Let's fill our boots and just rip people off.
And that's known as a monopoly.
Yeah, absolutely. What does everybody think of the terror suspect, Daniel Khalif, the guy that escaped from Wandsworth Prison?
Well, it's a funny one all round, isn't it? Because one, he shouldn't have been in a category B.
Yeah.
Two, they were saying, well, we don't know how he got out. He must have had help, etc. And now they've said they found the strapping under the wagon that he escaped in, and it looks like it could have been bed sheets. I mean, everything's quite vague, isn't it? They know whether they're bed sheets or not, or they know whether they're tie racks strapping.
Absolutely.
So why would you start playing with words saying, well, but it could be bedding? Well, it's either bedding or it's not bedding. They've obviously got the van that he got out in. There's too many. And then it said, I thought it said he was 22 years old, but I saw on a report on the news that he was actually 21 years old.
Yeah.
When they rearrested him in that. So how has he become an officer of the British Army at 21 years old?
There's some strings being pulled somewhere.
Something is not right
about it.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't stack up at all. None of this.
Well, here's the other thing. When anybody's caught doing something wrong, what's the first move that they make before going to court? The first move is that there's a mental illness, something of that nature.
Right.
That's forced them to do this. Something forced him to escape. It was a mental illness that forced him to escape from prison. There you go.
Well,
to be honest with you,
I think it's in the British psyche to do it. Is he actually British or was he Iranian?
He was Iranian.
All right, because that dispels my thoughts, and because we go back to Colditz and all the other prisoner of war camps and all that lot. It's actually in the British psyche to escape, isn't it?
It is, and due to the experience of this podcast, I'm currently knitting my bed sheets together to get out the window.
Get out the digital window of the digital pub. Okay, right. What about who says crime doesn't pay? And ask this pair of grifters. Okay, and this is Jan Moyer in Mail. She said, who says crime doesn't pay? Ask the pair of smirking grifters fined £1 for a £150,000 fraud. Okay, and these two, Nicola and Simon Nightingale, they laughed as they left Cardiff Court this week, as well they might, after swindling £150,000 from chef Stephen Terry, who owns the Hardwick restaurant in Abergavenny. And the couple were fined a nominal £1 each. You can't. This is British justice.
Well, there isn't any. There clearly isn't any, and they're just, they're literally laughing in the faces of this.
Oh yeah,
they were fined £1 each.
£1.
How much fraud?
For £150,000.
£150,000, and if I've not got the correct smart meter, I get 15 grand.
Correct.
So I'll offer them a nominal fee of £1.
Yeah. See how you get on. Okay.
And then they're going to jail me as well for a year, which I'm obviously going to escape. Because I'll just like
So
Steve.
£150,000 worth of fraud gets you a £1 fine.
Fine.
Well, I've got £5 in my little savings tin here. That'll get me a good return.
So if anybody wants to go read up on it and they get the details, you'll just be absolutely stunned. We were talking about RAAC, RAAC concrete last week in schools. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And I turned around and I said to everybody, it wasn't just schools. Well, there's another story out that says it's at Gatwick and Heathrow airports. How about that one? Yeah.
Well,
air bricks, airports.
There's a surprise. Not.
Gatwick and Heathrow.
So they basically taken the cheap option.
Correct. Okay. Moving on. And Steve, I'm going to let you in for a little secret here. But it's sad day. Mike Yarwood. You remember the comedian Mike Yarwood, the impressionist?
Yes. Yeah, impersonator.
Yeah, he died, age 82. He was a great entertainer, had some great shows. And he was most famous for doing Harold Wilson.
I remember it well.
Yeah, the Prime Minister at the time. And he was just so good. I remember actually seeing a program where he was actually on stage with Harold Wilson. And Harold Wilson was talking to Harold Wilson. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And look now, we've got AI that can recreate voices.
Yes, it's not the same, is it?
It's not the same, but you can do it now. So
Well, this is good news, actually, because if anything does happen to me, I can still be here every week in my creaking chair.
Well, that's not what I was thinking.
For many months now, it's frightening, isn't it?
I'm thinking differently here. I'm thinking of actually getting one of these voice changers that works in real time, cloning your voice from the recordings that we've got and ringing up Elaine in your voice and just to see what happens. Okay, bitch, get my tea ready when I come in. All right.
How he drop you in it. Listen how he causes trouble.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I'll be making fun. Can you imagine us doing that, calling up counselors and taking over the voice, the cloned voice of somebody? It's just phenomenal.
Well, nobody would recognise the voices. Nobody ever hears of them.
Well,
hey, Sir Keir Stammer. We could do that. We could ring up Rusty Nail.
Well, yes, indeed. Well, okay, we're going to move on, and we are going to go on to the national. And this is going to lead us quite nicely into it, and that is bosses of 5 councils facing bankruptcy are pocketing more pay than the Prime Minister.
Well, it's the old scenario we've all spoken of many, many times about the culture of rewarding failure in this country, which appears to be the national culture.
Well, it's true. Birmingham City Council CEO Deborah Cadman received a pay rise in the last year, taking home £244,000 for 22-23.
How much debt has her council got that she's in charge of?
Oh, we're going to be discussing that, but it is big debt.
Chicken feed.
compared to Warrington. Okay, well, let's move on to it. There is a massive fear that more councils are going to go bust. We heard about Birmingham, yeah? Now, more councils are going to go bust because, for example, one Surrey authority is grappling with debt 86.9 times its income. So is your town hall about to fail?
Well, it's stunning, this, but I don't know whether anybody's made the connection across the country with the fact that councils all over the place are being landed with huge amounts of people arriving into this country, many of them illegal, and the cost to the taxpayer through national and local funding is huge. So I will just mention, to ascertain some details on this, I've sent in some freedom of information requests to Cheshire West and Cheshire West and Chester Council nearly a week ago. And to give you a brief overview, chaps, I've asked how much for the full financial year 22-23 Cheshire West and Chester Council has spent on various housing issues, including emergency housing, housing builds, and all other peripheral costs in supporting migrants into Cheshire West during that financial year, and also to specify how many of those people arrived here were illegal, and also the same questions for the first 5 months of this year. Now, I believe the people in this country, up and down the land, should be asking these questions to their councils.
But they won't. Because they are just sheeple. They keep on thinking, oh, don't worry, our politicians will sort it out.
Well, I'm sorry, but this country now needs to be sorted out by the people themselves,
Indeed.
to be quite frank.
Indeed. We need a Cromwell. I put that on Twitter, on the Cheshire Matters Twitter handle, and somebody said, no, definitely not a Cromwell. I said, no, agree to disagree. We need the whole of them turfing out because they're not doing any of us any good. They're not protecting us. It's another indication of broken Britain. When you get those councils, like, for example, Woking, the total debt is 1.97 billion, and it is literally 62 times the income. Eastleigh, 528 million. That's 41 times their income. The debt is Runnymede, Worthing, Surrey Heath, Rushmore, Cherwell, Uttlesford. They're all in debt. One of the biggest ones that they mentioned is Warrington, 1.8 billion. But it's more than that, isn't it, Trevor?
Yeah, it's 1.8 heading to 2.3 because they're still investing.
Well, they say that the debt is 7 times their income. Well, I would suggest that somebody needs to actually check the figures because I don't think their income is even going to come anywhere near close. I think it's a lot bigger than that.
7 times the income.
That's it. Warrington's debt is 7 times their income that they're actually receiving.
So they say they're receiving something like 9 billion.
No, they need 9 billion to service that debt.
I'm not quite getting that. I'm going to have to look at that after.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
They're saying it's 7.5 times the income of Warrington Town.
Yeah, the money that they're getting in is not going to cover. They need 7 times the income that they're getting in order to actually service that debt.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Okay, that's the calculation. Now,
frightening.
If Moody's are starting to comment on this, then obviously you've got to start taking things seriously because it's a problem. Those councils, and there are more of them, they're not getting the money in. So that's why they're actually trying to find different ways to claw back money from the people. And it's all it is that we are actually going to be covering the debt through bad management, both of the council, of local government, and government themselves.
Yeah, but let's not forget, these people running these councils and all of these public bodies, however much they fail the public and land the public with huge debts and increased bills to pick this up and cover it, these people are extremely efficient in making sure that their pay scale goes right up to the top, and also extremely efficient in making sure that their pension funds are fully filled to the brim, and that their needs are always met first and foremost, over and above doing the right thing by the public. And that's got to change.
Well, the actual borrowing capabilities of the councils have been neutered as well. So they can't borrow to get themselves out of debt, as it were. They're limited by choice. If the government are not going to give them the money, then the only other people that they can get it from are the constituents. And the constituents are going to be paying more for less. That's what they're going to do. And
they've been doing this in Warrington now for the last 10 years that I'm aware of. Your council tax goes up, your green bins go up, everything goes up. It all goes up. Your transport goes up. Your heating, your lighting, your diesel. That might not be Warrington. That's nationwide. And you think, I mean, I'm going to ask you this now, but I could answer it myself. I mean, how have we got into this horrendous position?
Idiots in control.
Councils are being left to gamble with its residents' council tax.
Correct.
I've actually asked this to Rusty Nail. I've asked him the question direct, and he just says that, well, it's not him gambling. He's taking, advice off advisors, etc. That are going to cover this. Now, surely anybody with an ounce of common sense would see that these interest rates They're not going to be 0% for much longer. You don't need to be clever to know that.
No.
It's just absolute negligence.
That's how the credit card companies get you trapped. They give you the 0%, and then all of a sudden they whip them away.
Of course they do. After a period, then you end up paying more anyway.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, this is the likes of Joe Blogs on the street. But when we start talking, we should. I mean, in general, you should think that your councils would be more sort of, educated in that.
Oh,
in that respect.
No.
But they're not. They're nothing. I mean, these councillors. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but I've been in this game for a long, long time, local council. And these councillors that are voting on our issues are they're following the whip. They're all nodding dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've only got the top 5 people making decisions, and they just continually follow what the top 5 say.
And then the government creates a funding gap by reducing the amount of money that these councils can get. Go ahead, Steve.
Absolutely correct. But let's not forget, people see this. They see the councils running up debts. They see the incompetence. They see the falling services and rising costs they have to pay. But they still keep voting for them.
Yep.
Why on earth? I've got to ask this question. Why on earth do people still now buy into this idea of voting for a red badge or a blue badge is going to make any difference to your society, your country, or your future, or what you have available in your local town, city, or community? It's a nonsense. These people are only there for ego and political and financial control for their own ends. I'm calling it out for what it is. These people are self-serving. Well, the entire political system is about self-serving individuals, looking after themselves, looking after their party, and pursuing their own political ideology to the detriment of the public. Wake up! For goodness sake, wake up!
Well, there was a psychological experiment done, and I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was done way back in the 70s or the 80s, and what happened was they had 4 actors and 1 guy who was a member of the public. And what they did was they actually showed pictures on slides of lines, A, B, C, D, E.
I think, was this the Ash experiment?
I think it could be.
Referred to.
And basically they showed how peer pressure could force somebody into agreeing with the rest of the group. So what they did was, on the first slide, they showed a difference. They said which line matches the other lines that are there. And the guy turned around and he said, well, the other 4 turned around and said, well, A matches blah, blah. And he said, no, that's wrong. And after about the second or third slide, he knew that he was right, but he actually just went along with the rest of the group.
Absolutely. So this herd-like mentality of agreeing with things, even if they are wrong, appears to be within the public psyche. And very few people actually, it's a very small percentage, can actually see through what's really going on.
What's going on. And the group herd mentality is actually egged on by mainstream media and the way that everything is shaped. And they know that, and the government know that. They know what's going on. Go ahead.
You've hit a very big nerve there, because if people were to read about the Tavistock Institute, which has been influencing and nudging, as they refer to it, public opinion, they've been doing that for over about 80 years and manipulating the public psyche in towards certain preferred agendas, whatever the agendas are, in terms of how to change our society. So I would invite people to start and read up on the Tavistock Institute and look into things like that. The people are manipulated, and very few people can actually see through the fog and look at really what's going on. But even this as well, I will add this, and it's a very serious point to me.
And just to back you up, it was the Ash experiment.
I thought it was. I saw that recently. Now the thing is, Jonathan, I'm also going to say this: not only can few people see what's going on at all levels in society, whether it's international, national, or right down to local level, out of those people that can see it, there is even a smaller percentage of people who are big enough and brave enough to go and say things publicly and express discontent or challenge the status quo. And occasionally you will get people coming along who disagree with what's going on because they eventually realize, but they will come along and ask somebody else to fight their corner. Correct. Because they haven't got the guts to do it themselves.
Well, the word is they haven't got the balls, because in either government, nobody knows what a man and a woman is.
Correct.
Well, I have to say, that was a good conversation, and the world and his dog knows that we are right.
He's back. He's back.
He's back. Here he is, the man with the ladder.
I'm glad that ladder's still there. It reminds us of Trevor every time we see it.
The ladder. I've never known a gazelle with a ladder.
It's like the lion and the wardrobe. It's exactly the same thing. It's the ladder and the dressing gown.
The only ladder I know of is a ladder in the tights. But I don't wear tights with ladders in them. So there you go. Ooh. Anyway, let's move on to any shout-outs, shout-downs. Let's go. Gazelle, have you got any? I'm going to shout down stats. You know, I don't think that illness is an explanation or an excuse for not coming on the podcast. So stats.
I think I've got it. I think I've got what's going on.
What? You've got what stats has got?
No, I think I've got what is going on with
All
stats.
Right.
Now, he's been having an issue for quite some time due to his hobby. I'm just wondering if he's got a lady friend in the cupboard.
Oh, what? Hiding things away. Yes. Well, it'd be interesting
most people have got something in the closet, haven't they? So you think he's got a lady in the closet, dear?
Oh.
Well, you know,
you never know.
Coming out the closet.
Well, you never know. You never know. Okay, let's have some shout-outs and shout-downs. Stevie or Gazelle, who's going to go first? Go ahead. I've shouted down stats. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running late tonight, so I've not got really... I mean, the only shout-down I can have is obviously wanting Borough Council for the debt they've put me in.
Yep.
And the rest of the residents. And I had a bit of a report tonight, but I'll probably go into this next time.
Okay.
On the Together Energy Administration update.
Fair enough.
When they invested into Together Energy and it all went bust and everything, and then...
the lights went out.
The lights went out, basically, yeah, thank you. And they said, oh, no, it's okay, it's all right, we've got to recoup our money, etc., etc., etc. And, the update up to now at the minute, there was an alleged £40 million of debt, and the debt management company that put it with was Barrett Smith Brown, and they've recouped, at the moment, 426,000 now to 40 million. So the residents, the council taxpayers in Warrington are not going to be recouping quite a much...
recouping, yes.
Recouping much money out of that, are they?
Well, it depends on how much Barrett's are taking out of it as well for their commission.
Well, exactly. I mean, apparently it stops. I'm going to go into it next week, but apparently it stops in February. So 426,000, what they've taken in respect of the debts of the Together Energy Company, and as you say, Jonathan, they're going to take their share out of that. So it'll probably end up with about probably £1 a piece, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
With 200,000 residents in Warrington now, so we'll probably get £1 each.
Fair enough. Okay, Stevie, shout-outs, shout-downs. Be quick about it.
Well, I've got two. I've got two.
Are you taking advantage of the fact that Stats is not here?
Yes, absolutely. Stats, yes. You know, I'd have his sweets as well if he'd left them on the table. Now,
right.
The thing is, first of all,
Tory.
Yeah, you Tory.
First off,
stealing candy from a baby. He's the baby of the group. Stealing candy from a baby. That's disgusting.
I don't do things like that. I just buy loads of sweets and they're stashed everywhere. I keep for myself.
Well, it was an insult to Stats because I'm saying he's a baby.
Oh, see, right. I didn't get that. It went straight over my head. Now,
Okay.
my first one, this is very sincere, actually, because I've got two shout outs. One, first of all, is to the mother of James Bulger, Denise.
Yep.
I saw a program this week. It's now over 30 years since she lost her son.
Horrendous.
And I remember it happening because I'd started a job over in Deeside and we had a branch over in Liverpool. And there was lots of talk about it going on at the time. I remember it like yesterday, over 30 years.
Yeah.
But I saw the program again this week, and I've seen James Bulger's mother on the TV and in the media on and off over the years. And I have to say, I think she's one of the most dignified ladies. And she's conducted herself with not only tremendous dignity, and she's fought for justice, and she's done lots of things. I just think she's carried herself for over 30 years after this in a tremendous fashion, to be quite honest. I really think she's an amazing woman.
Your second one?
The second one is to my daughter-in-law, Sophie, actually. I think first of all...
Keep it all in the family. I would. Go on.
And first of all, I think she's pretty cool. We have a lot of banter between us, which is all good. It's all great. Although on occasions she bewilders me, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know whether she does it on purpose to sort of humour me or drive me around the twist. But so, as an example, they've got a dog, which is a lovely dog, and they've had it a while now. But I get these telephone calls and messages periodically to say that Pepper, their dog, is going off for the day to doggy daycare. And I'm now living in this other surreal world where not only does Pepper go off to doggy daycare, recently she went off to doggy daycare and had doggy sports day. And then on another occasion, it gets better. Listen to this. And then Pepper got a doggy daycare report card. And I've been invited later this year to Pepper's birthday party. And I just...
give me a break. Give me a break. All right, end that now. I'm going to mute you if you don't end it now.
My son-in-law's brother does exactly the same thing. He takes the dog to doggy daycare. So.
I kid you not. I need a lie down. She's a lovely woman, but she's driving me absolutely crazy to bits.
Okay, well, that's it. Okay. Well, I have to say, we haven't missed you, Stats.
Nope.
Nope. What's happened to him? Have you locked him in the cupboard again?
No, he's not well. He's not well. Oh.
Well,
anyway,
worse when I was heard this.
Say goodnight, goodbye, sayonara, whatever.
Don't do this goodnight business. It's not right, to be honest, for proper men to be saying goodnight.
All right, goodbye.
Really
Get back in the cupboard.
Right.
Go on. Say goodbye.
Right.
Is it gone?
Goodbye.
Thank you. Okay, the Gazelle, go ahead.
Good night, everybody, and I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. And there'll be many, many more coming. And watch out for our visual podcast coming up on YouTube.
Indeed, they are going to happen. We're going to see everybody. And I have to say goodbye to all our listeners in America. Yes, we do think about you, and we are very interested in you. And to the listeners in Papua New Guinea, and
to Joe Biden,
which is the way
and
out.
to the councillors in Cheshire West.
Yeah. Over the head.
Well,
and to all the councillors in Warrington.
It wouldn't matter, they don't answer it anyway.
No, they don't.
Yeah, to all the councillors in Warrington.
That's what I said about Mark's girlfriend. I said, how's your girlfriend? He said, I haven't got a girlfriend. I said, I heard from her the other day. She said, bah.